3. Hello, and welcome to this week's Down from the Detail podcast. I'm Rob Paxton, and we're here talking all things Salford Red Devils. Joining the show this week, as ever, we've got Paul Whiteside. Right, Paul, how's your week off been? Where have you been?
Yeah, I went up to Northumbria, near Bamburgh Castle, stayed up there and had a week up there, walking a dog on the beaches and what have you. And a bit of time off work and that. Watched the Challenge Cup final and enjoyed that. And looking forward to the Sunday now, mate. It was nice to have a bit of family time and a bit of time away from central heating and boilers and radiators and all that. So it was good. Weather was all right. So yeah, looking forward to the match this week, mate.
Not sure how the economy coped with a week off, to be fair, but it did.
I'm sure they were all right.
Yeah. Also joins us as ever. Well, he's missed a few weeks, but he's back now. We've got Paul Parkin. How have you been, Parky? Where have you been?
I've just been hiding, Anna. Really, recovering from wins. We're not used to them, are we? I've been preoccupied with other activities, unfortunately, the last couple of weeks. I know I wasn't on. I think the last 2 was I.
Yeah.
But we've been away. We've been up to the Lake District for a few days, so that was nice. And like I say, I've come back now with a lurger. So things are going great. But it's good to be back on. Good to be back on. I have missed it, but I'll be honest. I think football actually took over for 2 weeks, didn't it? Doesn't matter to all teams, but there you go.
No, winning 2 is better than winning none.
It's better to be in them than not be in them.
This is true. Also joining us, we've got Chris Bates, the ladies' head coach. Right, Chris, have you been away anywhere?
No, not this week. Thanks for having us again. Go away this weekend, going into Hereford with my family for my missus' cousin's 30th. So looking forward to that, really.
Oh, I went away last week. I went to Skegness, Butlins in Skegness, the Redcoats. Ever been to Butlins, Paul? Something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I went to Butlins when I was about 10 with school. We went to Buffelli. Last year of primary school, I think it was, a long time ago now. It was all right. Yeah, it was good. Good. As I remember.
Yeah, it was amazing. Loads of all the rides, all the activities, all the shows, arcades are brilliant. Chris, have you ever ventured into one of these establishments with your family?
Into an arcade? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got my 8-year-old stepson absolutely loves them. So we have a day where typically go out, get a Mackey's, go and spend 20 quid in an arcade and have an absolute ball. It's favourite thing to do. 8-year-old's favourite thing.
So if we'll do a bit of family fortunes now then, Chris. 3 things you do in a arcade.
So he's always on the motorbike rides. We normally try chucking the balls at the clowns and typically leaving with less money than you went in with.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I went in with my son. And you know the grabber machines made famous by Toy Story, where they grab the toys, the cuddly teddy bears. So we went into the arcade, and he loves them. And he came up to me and said, "Dad, I'll go on this grabber machine." So I was like, "Okay, that's fine." So I went around the corner, I looked at it, and it was massive. It was more like a room than a machine. So I went up to it, and there was 6 minions, sort of 3-foot minions, all lay in different positions in the room, we'll call it.
3 foot.
So put my pound in, and I fancy myself at this because I've got a bit of a dead eye when it comes to things like this. So I'll get the claw, and I aim for one that's lay slightly at an angle. I'm thinking, this could be mine. This one. So press the button, claw goes down, grabs the head, releases it because you think, don't let you win the first time, does it? So moved it slightly to the right-hand side, goes down again, grabs it by the middle this time, right, and starts to lift it up, right? And don't forget, it's the size of a room, this machine. So it gets 3 foot in the air, and this minion's looks like it's been abducted by aliens. It's kind of bent in half, and it drops then. And I'm like, Art drops. My son starts to well up because he really wants this. He wants this big teddy bear. So I'll go, okay, one more go. We'll go for it. So press the button again, goes down, grabs him. Right, slowly starts to climb. It's the roof, and he's there in midair. Comes across towards the victory bin, we'll call it, where you drop the teddy bears in. And it's coming, and it stops about a yard short and just drops it. And then it's all in the grace, in God's hands. Then whether this minion's mine or not. So it's the side of the bin, it rolls round the rim like an NBA All-Star. And then drops in head first. Wow. unbelievable scenes, flashing lights, music, dancing girls. I don't know whether they were just there walking past, whether they were going to a show, but they were there as well. Cheers. It was unbelievable scenes. This guy came, unlocked the door, walked in, and gave me this 3-foot minion. And there was absolute scenes in the arcade, Paul.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Salford and OK, I've got a bit to live up to on Sunday after this. It sounds make a film out of that, Rob.
Yeah.
You've got me going there.
Yeah. So we had to carry him around. We called him Dave, and we had to carry him around for 3 days. And then I gave him away at the end, because if I brought him home, we'd have to end up paying rent. He was that tall. So so it was a great time though. Portland's fantastic, and I'd advise people to go. If you've got kids, it's definitely worth going. So those to go on the show this week, we'll look at the matches that we missed since we've been off. We've got all the big news coming out the club, and then we're going to preview the Hull KR game on Sunday. So we'll start with the games that we missed. So we'll start with the ladies, Chris. 2 games you played since our last podcast. Away at Hull Kings Rovers, you won 44 points to 4. Talk us through it.
Yeah, it was a really good occasion, So we moved it to Hull KR moved it to the Saturday, and we were straight on after the cameras on at 3 o'clock on the Saturday. It was just brilliant. So kind of straight out warming up, all the fans still in the stadium just as soon as the final whistle had gone, and there was a real kind of sense of occasion about it. And we asked the girls to play, really. We said, we're not necessarily going to track an error count here. We back you to be better than ultimately what they are. We want you to play a really expansive, kind of really exciting brand of rugby, and really want you to show off what women's rugby is all about. And Lucy popped up with 3, Steph Gray popped up with 3, and I think we did that well. It was a really, really kind of go over there and get a result, especially when they were fired up to play in front of their own fans. We had to knock that out of them early and compete. And I was really pleased with us.
Yeah, obviously, like you said, hat-trick for Lucy McKeown, hat-trick for Steph Gray. Who else stood out for you?
So Meg Conliffe again was brilliant. She's really had to pick up the baton, kind of obviously with Ness not being available. She was brilliant. 20 minutes, which was great to get her in a Salford shirt and firing. So we stuck her at second row and really gave her a baptism of fire. There was a number of good performances in there. Oh no!
Do you think it was a real statement, obviously going to Hull KR and winning by that kind of a margin?
Definitely. So, definitely a kind of strong statement from us. Really, I thought that they were fired up. We really had to earn the right to play. So, I thought we did that well, really. And Serena and Meg in particular kind of set the platform for us. To allow us to do that. They had, some really strong middles that took some dealing with, but then ultimately kind of laid a platform for us to play the game we wanted to, really. So coming away with that sort of result was exactly what we kind of was our ideal outcome, really.
Yeah, and obviously 2 points clear of the second place at that point. When you obviously think about how far you've come in the last sort of 6 months, it's just unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant, and a stuck record, but it's testament to the work that the girls have put in ultimately. I've just been coaching tonight, and they're here again, grafting, doing extras, really looking to kind of kick on. So they deserve to be there, and I'm delighted for them really with that.
Yeah, it's obviously amazing, Paul, that they've got 2 points clear, playing fantastic rugby, and doing extras in training, working hard.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, Rob, isn't it? I mean, it sounds to me like we mention it every week, don't they? I mean, it sounds like the camaraderie is great within the side, and the team spirit's great. And I mean, if you've got people staying back doing extra training, that belief is growing, isn't it? And I think listening to Chris speak, I think he really enjoys what he's doing. He really enjoys his job and working with them, and it must be an absolute pleasure to train him.
Yeah, and obviously the profile's grown over the months as well. Parking, it's it's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, like Paul said, we mention the girls every week. I mean, it's just been this phenomenal upward spiral, hasn't it? From that first game against Swinton, where we didn't know what to expect, to where we are now. Or certainly, I mean, the whole KR result was, it's a massive to go over to the East Riding, and put a score up like that. that's some effort, because they, we know what they're like. They live and breathe rugby league, don't they? The women as much as the men, and that's a real sort of statement. I think that sends out to teams in higher leagues that this team's on the rise, and again, it shows that the work that goes in. These results like that don't just happen. You don't just suddenly score 40 points by throwing the ball about. You know what I mean? Things have been worked on in training, obviously. Like we're just saying there, Chris is saying the girls, I've read about them doing extras on Mondays, and then they've been training again tonight. These girls are, this is serious stuff. This isn't, this isn't just a cakewalk. It's not something they're doing for a laugh. And there's some real commitment being shown. And it doesn't surprise me, to be fair, because when you put the work in, you get the results out. And that game against OKR, I mean, when I saw the result, I was knocked over. I think we'd mentioned a few weeks earlier when we were going through the fixtures coming up, and I think we said that they'd be tough. Anything up on sort of Humber side is always tough. Men, women, amateur, whatever it is. But no, but a brilliant result, and like you say, put them 2 clear at the top of the league.
Yeah. So moving on to this week's game, Chris, and obviously our first defeat, Alton away. Obviously we're struggling with injuries and absentees. It was a tough game.
Yeah, it was really tough, and no excuses from us that we were beaten by the better side on the day. I was about to go and give you a lot of excuses. We had to bounce a few players around, and we lose Lucy 9 minutes in. That Lucy's our starting fullback for all the right reasons, and that means we've kind of got to put Steph Gray to fullback to cover her, and Brogan comes in on debut, and she's not really trained with us all that much. She's just kind of finished her trial and come in, and then all of a sudden she's at 9. So your spine completely changes, and we said as we were kind of reacting and as we were having to make them subs, we said that what we really wanted to see out of this was kind of forget the result, really. If we win, then fantastic, what a massive bonus. But we want to see him play with a bit of heart now, because that's what it's going to need. So, okay, our structures aren't going to work perfectly, but we want to see him. We want to see the kind of the girls really stick with Alton and really go toe to toe with them and really kind of show the belief in a different circumstance. So it's all well and good believing you can score 50 when you're 30 up. But what about when the chips are down a little bit and you've got every reason or you've got every excuse in front of you to perhaps go back in your shell a little bit or not churn out a performance that you're proud of? And they just didn't, so they tired and the line speed dropped off because, we were down to 1 sub at one point. And that's all okay, but they kept showing up, they kept putting their bodies in front, they kept trying to play rugby, and their coach said afterwards that he didn't really feel like the score reflected the game. They got a couple of late tries, and there was one kind of, we should have had a dropout where the ref just misses a player knocking it dead, and we're celebrating a dropout, and he gives a tap 20, and that takes the wind out your sails a little bit. But same reaction again. They keep turning up and they keep kind of putting the bodies in front. They keep defending with everything they've got to stop them coming through, and I was really proud of them for that. And they were gutted afterwards. There were tears in that changing room, and we were stood in front of them saying, "Hang on, this is not the end of the world by any stretch. We react, we go again. We weren't going to go unbeaten. We just put our nose back to the grindstone, and then we've seen them do that this week. So a week off will do us the world of good with those injuries, and we're looking forward to seeing what they churn out when they play the next team we play at home."
I'll come to that in a sec. Obviously, Alton are a very good side. They beat Castleford and they beat Wakefield in their Challenge Cup sort of run. People say that you learn more in defeat than you do victory. What can you take from the game on Sunday?
So, the only department I thought they were better in was that they had some really kind of established players who knew each other inside out, and we're never going to have that this early in. So they played to a second row all the time, who really was our undoing. So their halfback would play to their kind of left edge. That second row would hit a lead, win a collision, and then they'd all just instinctively play off it. And we're getting there with that stuff. But that was the difference, really. That every time we put them into trouble with our defence, they got out of it through that. And those relationships will form amongst the group. They just take time. So I think that's probably the big thing I took from it, really.
Obviously, Parker, do you think there's a kind of a right time to get beat? Because I remembering back to when we were in the old First Division, we played Lee in 2003, and we had to pay them 6 times that season. And the pressure built sort of week on week, whether we'd go through the whole season undefeated. We went through most of the season. We got beat against Featherstone away. I think we got beat against Hull KR away. And that kind of, them defeats were we lost at the right time, I think. So the pressure didn't build too much, which put too much pressure on the players. Do you think this is a similar thing?
That's a tough one, isn't it? Is there ever a good time to lose? I know what you're saying. I do get it. It's like a monkey off your back, isn't it? Week going into a game, is this the week? Is this the week? The pressure builds. And it will play part in your mind. I mean, I was part of when I was young, I was showing you the other day a photograph of a very successful team. We went on for years and not losing, strangely enough. And then I remember we played a friendly away at Blackbrook. And for some reason, they just wiped the floor with us. We didn't know where it came from or whatever. And that knocked us a bit. It really did. And I know you say, you were asking Chris before about, you learn more in defeat. I think it just opened up cracks. That was my fear at the time, that I thought, oh, we're not that good. We're not, and it put doubt in your mind. But on the flip side to that, do you then work at them better? Do you make yourself? I mean, that's what you should do. But in the back of your mind, is there a bit of a worry there that could that happen again? Now, at the moment, obviously, like Chris has just said, we've got players missing. You can't. I don't know the full depth of the ladies' team. I don't know how many players you can call from, for week in, week out. Do some teams have more players? A bit like Super League at the moment. Our first team was down to its bare bones a few weeks ago. Other teams had players going out on loan. It's kind of that's the situation you've got to try and manage. But going back to your question, I suppose so. It gives us something to work on. The back end of the seasons when, trophies or whatever are given out, aren't they? At the moment, we're still building, and hopefully we will learn from that. But what we can learn from, again, going back to what Chris said there, we had one sub at one point. That makes it's unbelievably difficult. The energy you expend while you're on the park, because certainly as the forwards, and you can't interchange. You've lost your full back. There's been movement around the pitch. You'll learn more about the attitude of your players. That's a guarantee. So I suppose in some ways it could be beneficial in the long run. But I'll be honest, I was absolutely gutted when I saw the score. But like Chris said, you're not going to win every game. You look at Saints; they're absolutely unbelievable in the Super League, but they get beat. It's what happens. It's how you bounce back now.
Yeah, reactions to that, Chris. Obviously, I made a little list of our absentees. No Serena Tapau, no YPS, no Alex Simpson, no Vanessa Hadley. So you didn't have, the wide range of quality that you usually have to pick from.
No, we didn't. And I'll only ever be straight with you in that we kind of thought the same. That's a test of character that we haven't seen yet. We're lucky to have some fantastic players littered through that squad. I get the pleasure of watching them every week, 3 times a week, and they show the quality time and time again in how skillful they are and how ambitious they are and how hard they prefer to work, and that's all great. But all the excuses were written for us. So I'm sure we may well have all played in teams that have just gone and folded because we kind of knew it wasn't our day from the outset. But they didn't. They didn't. It was 12-10 to us at half time, and we really stuck at it, and we're thinking, well, when Lucy goes off, she adds to that list of injuries, and then all of a sudden we've got someone playing at fullback who's never played at fullback before. Then we push her to 9, but she never trained at 9 for us, really. And then we have to take Steph away from. Steph caused chaos in their ranks. She's become really good at that centre role, kind of bursting onto a ball off Lucy. But all of a sudden, Steph's at fullback, Lucy's on the sideline. And then our physio was just busy all day trying to kind of keep 13 players on the pitch. So yeah, I think I'm just proud of them for sticking at it and not kind of accepting all that. It was effectively a free pass. We could have sat on this podcast and said, well, loads missing, we lost 8-0, we'll go again next week. We know that's not a fair reflection of us, but they've just got more pride in the shirt than that, and you can't coach that. You talked a little bit earlier about how hard they prefer to work, and I was in the middle of connection problems, but I think you gave us some raps as coaches as to how we've worked with them. But I think it's much wider than that. So the reason they're prepared to work so hard is because how the entire kind of Salford Red Devils community is bought into them, and you guys have a massive part to play in that. I know the girls listen to this every week. You've equally got kind of the way the club have bought into us, So Alton commented on the executive coach we turned up on Sunday and said, can we borrow it and whatever. And I'm sat here kitted out so that we'll look the part, and all of that stuff adds up to kind of make this a real opportunity for the girls that they're well aware of. And it didn't have to be like this. We could have been kind of a bit more ragtag and a lot cheaper to run, and we could have been, but it wouldn't have brought the same commitment from the players. So I think all of that stuff does really kind of add up to bring performances like that. Ultimately, Salford kind of deserve those out of this group. So I think
Yeah, and obviously, Paul, the investment is important. Obviously, the club have invested in the ladies, and they're repaying them with some fantastic performance, and to be part of the Salford Red Devils family, is a massive thing. And obviously, like Chris said, being kitted in the right kit and all being together, it sends out a message, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think Chris has just hit the nail on the head there with what he said about everybody buying into it. That must spur the girls on, that knowing they've got the public of Salford behind them, and people like us talking about them as well. It's not just something that's hidden away now like a secret. They're out there, and for everybody to see. And at the start of the season, who'd have thought after that Swinton game it would have grown to be this big? I think it's snowballing every week now, isn't it? And it's testament to everybody involved. I'm sure Chris has got like a day job he has to do as well, and things like that. And it's a lot of hard work. Same for the girls. You're not professionals. You've got other things that go on in your lives as well, and you've got to do this. I obviously enjoy doing it, but it's commitment. Going training and that. It's hard work. I do a bit of boxing myself and bits and bobs after work, and believe you me, like when you've been working all day, it's hard to get your bobble hat on and get out there and go running and working and that. So I think testament, and they're getting the rewards, aren't they, for doing it? And just going back to what you were saying there about defeat, I think there's fear in being beaten sometimes, isn't there? And obviously you want to win, and there's always that fear of getting beat. But I think when you do get beat, you always want to get back in training, work hard, and put things right. And I'm sure the girls will do that.
Yeah, it's about being under pressure, and pressure is a privilege, isn't it? And if you're obviously in the situation where you're winning every week, the pressure will build. But like you say, defeat, they tried their hardest though, and that's all as a coach you can ask for, isn't it, Chris?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I keep saying it, but I say it because I mean it. Really proud of the way they reacted to some adversity on Sunday. We've talked a bit about putting them in different situations and seeing how we react, and that was just another one. And again, they for me, albeit result didn't go our way, they've excelled themselves. And then you look at the reaction on Monday and Wednesday, and they're just raring to go for next week. What we need is for a few of them to put themselves back together and look after themselves, and stop training through injuries is becoming a problem. That sometimes commitment's too much, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is that like a kind of an educational side for the player to think that, I don't have to, I don't train today because I need to be right in 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, definitely, and we've had to do quite a bit of work with it. I'll tell you who's the worst for it. I'm sure she won't mind me saying, but Lucy's a nightmare for it. So right. she will push herself as hard as she possibly can to give ultimately everything to this shirt, and it's phenomenal from her, fair play. But there's a time when you think, do you know what? Breaking down in a sprint on a Wednesday night isn't going to help us in the season. We need to see the big picture. Let's leave you out of training tonight so that you're right for Sunday, or maybe even leave you out the game so you're right for the week after. This is a season, and we've got to manage quite a small team through that entire season. At the minute, fighting on two fronts as well. So yeah, that's definitely been a learning curve for some of them. And I'll tell you something for nothing, they hate coming off the field.
I tell you, is it 12 tries in 4 games? I'd wrap her up in bubble wrap, wouldn't let her go for a week. I'd hide her somewhere, so she couldn't get injured herself.
Well, you will do until she shoots you that look as you try and take her off.
Well, it's true. There is that. So, talking about sort of players, Chris, you've sort of brought a couple in to your squad. Some good signings that I think they're going to sort of raise the standard even higher.
Yeah, I hope so. That's what we're looking for now. So we're only bringing a player into our ranks now if they've A, earned the right, and B, they push us on as a group. I'm a big believer in the more kind of playing around better players makes you a better player. And so that's really what we're trying to do with the people we brought in. So with Serena coming in, with Brogan coming in, then ultimately those are players who've played, at Super League level, who can kind of continue to kind of push us on. And sometimes that's as simple as just kind of mentoring some of the more inexperienced forwards, as Serena's been doing well. And then Brogan will make a mark on us as well, and giving us some strength for depth in the backs.
Yeah, obviously, just touching on Serena to Pau, England international. prop forward, come from Warrington, had to leave Warrington then and go through our sort of trial system, and now she plays for us. It's great that obviously we've got an international front row in the ranks.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And what we'd like to do is get her kind of firing so that she's back at that international level and back pulling on that jersey again. And she'll tell you she struggled with the rugby in the last couple of years, really through COVID and all the rest of it. And she's come down here because of the environment and because of the backing they get from the club, and because this feels to her like an environment that she'll kind of thrive in and will bring the best out of her. So looking forward to seeing that. And Brogan the same. So Brogan's played for Warrington at Super League level previously, but primarily played rugby union. So we kind of had to wait a little bit for Brogan after she stuck her name on the trial list. We knew we needed a 9, but equally she was tied up captaining her county for rugby union. So that kind of speaks to her quality. And yeah, looking forward to seeing what she adds to us, really.
Yeah, you've obviously got a week off this week, Chris. Obviously, it'll be a sort of a mixture of training and resting.
Yeah, so I've just spoken to him at the end and said, look, I don't care what you do this weekend, but look after yourselves. Don't get out and do extras and push yourself if you know you're already carrying or not. Use this as an opportunity, because we won't get many of them as we get into the thick end of the season. So I'm hoping they listen to me and go and do that. We need to.
Yeah, obviously Paul Rowley said something similar to us, didn't he? Paul, again, when I think we played St Helens, said he just told the players just to go away for 2 weeks and relax.
Yeah, well, I think sometimes you need to, don't you? I think after that St Helens game, the players were a bit broken and battered, they'd given their all for for a couple of weeks, and we're down to the bare bones, weren't they? And sometimes I think you can train a bit too much, can't you? And you're asking a lot when there's not left in the tank, aren't you? So sometimes you just need that rest and recuperation time, don't you? And I remember we spoke to Paul Rowley a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? I think with the Challenge Cup break, he was going to do things differently, wasn't he, as well? And sometimes it's not all about flogging the players, is it? And you do all that in the pre-season. It's about touching things up and just working on little things, isn't it, in throughout the season as you go through.
Yeah, Stanley at home, Chris, the next one. Obviously, be fired up, ready for that.
Yeah, absolutely. They're itching to go. Yeah, they're just desperate to turn out a performance. We've been on the road quite a bit in the last few weeks, and they've spoken tonight amongst themselves about really wanting to kind of set the record straight. And this isn't the wheels falling off, as some in the league may well even hope. This is just a loss at a time that probably came at for all the right reasons, given how many absences we had, and a chance for us to kind of bounce back and I suppose send a bit of a message. So yeah, they're raring to go.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Chris. We'll let you get back in when it's a bit warmer.
Yeah, thanks for having us. And I mean what I say, you guys have been great in talking about us all the time, and it really does kind of help build it leaves them under no illusions, the group, as to how important they are to kind of the Salford community. And I hope you know the impact you've had on them. So thanks for having us on, and thanks for your coverage of us.
Brilliant. Cheers, Chris.
Cheers.
Yeah.
See you, mate.
So, other game as well was the reserves. They were in action against Bradford at home, lost 32 points to 16. Danny Barton's men working hard but not getting results. Parky.
Yeah, they seem to be doing that. It seems to be, from what you read of them, they're in games, and they certainly they give everything they've got, but they're just coming up short a little bit at the moment. Again, I don't really know what kind of depth we've got to rely on, who's available when. Obviously, I mean, he's a lad who will have, college or uni work as well, or even jobs at this stage, and you don't know who's available week to week to what team you can field, whether there's any consistency there. But it'll come together, and this experience will help them. We're coming at this from scratch now, aren't we? These reserves, and we've not had a reserve team for God how long, not an academy. These lads have been thrown together, and like Chris was just saying there about the ladies, they're still learning, they're still developing. They'll find their way and how the patterns of play that they're going to use and who does what for who. And but yeah, it's never good. You never like getting beat, and these lads have obviously gone away and a little bit, battered and bruised, but we'll be learning from it. And it's about Danny keeping the lads together, keeping their confidence up, and just keep going and learning. And hopefully, in 2 or 3 years' time, these lads are going to be, first team players, just by what they're learning now. And like you said before, you know, what do you learn in defeat? These lads could be getting well educated at the moment.
Yeah, and working hard. Obviously, tries from Josh Rourke, Dan Spencer Tonks, Paul. You know, this Dan Spencer Tonks, good player. I think, you know, he's certainly showing his class in that sort of reserve grade.
Yeah, do you know what? The reserve grade is tough, isn't it? I've said it before. You're playing against physical sides, aren't you? Sometimes you're playing against players who are coming back from injury, players with a lot more experience than what you've got as a youngster. And it's a tough apprenticeship, if you like, but it's where you get your experience from. So there's nothing tougher than playing top line rugby league, is there? So this is a good grounding for it. Once you get into that Super League or even the Championship League one, it's a difficult job. So this is where you learn your trade now as a young player coming through. You're learning against, you know, good pros, and yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll see players come through that system. I really am. I think we've got some talent there. It's just, it is difficult. It takes time to grow teams, doesn't it? You know, with the first team, it can take weeks and weeks before you can get the players playing together and, you know, relationships formed and, you know, things coming off. And I think we're seeing the fruits of that now. We have done the last couple of weeks, haven't we? It takes time for these partnerships and that to get together. So yeah, I think reserves is a work in progress. I don't think they're expected to go unbeaten for the season, were they? It's a learning curve for them, and you know, Danny Barton as well. He's doing a good job. He is doing a good job, and I think they're going to get better, and we're going to get some gems coming through.
Yeah, so that's all the look back at the games that we've played since we've been off, and now we'll look at all the big news coming out of the club this week. So we'll start with the biggest news. Sebastian Gerrard has put an offer in. Well, we're in negotiations with the stadium and the club to purchase both Parky. What do you make of that?
Do you know, I'm so reluctant to even dream about it at the moment. Look, when was at the match the other weekend, and my mate sat next to me to show me a message that had been sent to him saying, you know, look at this, you know, out of the blue completely. I was jumping for joy. I thought this can't be. This doesn't, you know, this won't happen to Salford now. It's hopeful, very promising news. I don't really know how the bidding process is going to work for the stadium. There's too many parties involved for my head to even equate who does what for when. And you know, if Seb buys the stadium, who's he buying it off? You know, is it 51% the council and 49 Peel and Sale are involved? And I can't get into all that. But the investment in the team is what we're crying out for. We all know that. And if the two come together, and we know that if the stadium is bought and belongs to Salford Rugby League Club and whoever else, the money you can make off that on a match day through, you know, your retail, because obviously you could open your own shop again. Who knows? You know, your bars and everything else, the meals that's going to be massive. What a fillet that would be every single week, and that's what that stadium was built for. That was the dream that John Wilkinson had. 20 odd years ago, really, you know, that it would be self-sustaining. You wouldn't need one man at the top with a load of cash trying to throw it at you. It would run itself. And that's what we've got to look for. It's really exciting. Obviously, like I say, I'm still a bit, you know, anything can happen in business. A contract can, you know, can mean nothing, can it? And the council may decide to go a different way. They may get offered more money from somewhere. We're still none the wiser as individuals and as fans, but you can't help but get a little bit giddy and get a little bit of, you know, that thing I think we got when Marwan came through, and we thought, this is it, we're going to dominate the game. You know, we're going to be this, that, and the other. Obviously, didn't quite turn out that way for many reasons, but no, really exciting, really exciting. I don't want to sound, you know, that I just don't want to get myself too giddy about it. But, you know, the next few weeks and months are going to be really, you know, really interesting.
Yeah, Gerrard to Swinton is a local company. Paul involved in haulage. It's got links to rugby league in the sort of the 60s and 70s. So he seems like he knows, you know, sort of what rugby league's all about.
Yeah, I think perhaps it was in his family, because I think he's a similar sort of age to us, Sebastian Gerrard, isn't he? But I know just speaking off what my dad's told me from years ago, I know when our Jeff played for Swinton in the 70s, a lot of the lads who signed worked with Gerrard. So you got a job with Gerrard, you know, it went hand in hand with signing for Swinton. So I think I can't remember what they used to do, like joinery and builders and all that sort of stuff. I know they do haulage now, and you see the wagons floating about, don't you? And that look quite a big business there. So yeah, I mean, I'm a bit like Parky. I was taken by the blue. I heard somebody mention it at the Cast game, said it was on Sky and what have you. So yeah, it's exciting, but I try not to think about stuff like that. Really, I just sort of concentrate on the players and or the match, what's going on. Stuff like money and all that tends to go over my head. So just leave it to the people who are in charge. But like Pag said, you can't fail to get excited about something. I mean, we go through life as Salford supporters constantly looking over our shoulder, don't we? Are we going to be able to afford this? Are we going to be able to keep going? You know, we're going to have a bucket collection for this. You know, what's it? The squad builder, things like that, you know, scraping money together. And we do a fantastic job at that. Let's make no bones about that. You know, supporters raising money, proper community feel to the club. But it always feels like it's really difficult. And if you were self-sufficient, all those sort of worries would go away, wouldn't they? And I know what he said before about when Marwan Kukash came in, and that sort of approach he had of just chucking money at everything didn't work. I didn't think so. If Sebastian Gerrard does take over, I think you've got to do it properly with the right foundations. You can't just come in and wave a big check, and because teams will take the mickey out of you. If you said you've got a load of money, the price goes up on all the players. That's what happened to Kukash. He just got ripped off left, right, and centre. So, yeah, if this guy comes in and does it the right way, looks after the club, and has got the best intentions of the club at heart, he's got my full support. So yeah, we'll have to watch this space and see how it develops.
Yeah, Paul King back the bid. He said, I welcome these talks, especially as Salford Red Devils is a community club. When the business owners like Sebastian are local, personally, I wish Sebastian every success in the proposal, as it is future evidence that rugby league is a valued asset in the region. Parky. So that's obviously good news that Paul King's backed his approach.
Listen, I think just going off what Paul said there about the differences between Kukash and what may happen. One thing that we've got to do, if the guy wants it, is leave Paul King running the show. I think he knows, he understands what it's all about. He knows the boundaries of rugby league. He knows you don't just come in and start, you know, throwing money about. That's not how this game works. It's not football. You can't just do that. I think with money, you know, like going back to when John Wilkinson was in charge, if someone had come in then, John would have absolutely opened his arms up, I think, and said, you know, help me out here. We'd have been on a fantastic trajectory at that point, I think. I mean, Gerrard's it is a massive company. It is. And obviously, Sebastian and his family are successful businessmen. So you bring that in with the knowledge of Paul King, of what he's learned over the last 2 or 3 years about running a club, especially a community club, Ian Blease and his knowledge of rugby league and how it works. I think we've got a real good thing going on. And then you look at the rest of the club, and Chris mentioned it about the girls having all the gear, they're turning up on executive coaches. Yeah, I remember the A-team years ago, and when we were at the Willows, and one night Featherstone turned up, and we thought, you know, they turned up in all the tracksuit, all the bags, everything was Featherstone. Now that's turned up in the jeans and T-shirts, all the building gear. And the feel of it, you just thought, you know, these are professional. Why are we like that? You look at it now, and everything that the club does from top to bottom is spot on. And this is where we just need that money now at the top end for that can go into that first team to bring the success, to bring the fans in, which then again brings the money in, and everybody wins. But for me, yeah, I mean, I think if I'm not wrong, you know, I think Gerrard's had something to do with building the North Stand at the Willows. I'm sure they did. I'm sure they had some part in that back in the late 60s. So yeah, and the other thing is I did read a quote from Swinton as well. The big conversations, and I think that's brilliant. You know, I'm not a Swinton fan by any means, but I'd happily share that stadium with Swinton Lions. No problem at all. It's for the people of Salford. It was built for the city of Salford. You know, Swinton playing it wherever they are at the moment, Sedgley Park, whatever, it's no good for anyone. It's no good for the game. So it'd be nice for them to have a permanent base as well. So, you know, fingers crossed everything can go the way we want it to. And, you know, within the next year or two, we could all be very happy Salford fans again.
Yeah. The talking to Twitter talk, Ian Blease, he tweeted, aiming to put a legacy in place for the future of our club, the stadium and the city, which is fantastic for me. But we're talking about Twitter, and it's one of them where there is an account that is allegedly Sebastian Gerrard, and we know with Twitter, it's sometimes the people on Twitter aren't the people who they say they are. So, what have you read that tweet, Parker?
Yeah, I saw it the other night while we were away. I was reading it. I mean, it read extremely encouragingly. If it is actually genuine, and we've no way of knowing, but looking at Ian Blease and Paul King both were following this account. I've no reason to actually doubt its validity, but again, that statement coming out, that's what worries me a little bit, when statements coming out before we've moved on.
Yeah,
get these things done. But yeah, it's a fantastic read. It did sort of give you that warm feeling, didn't it, when you read it? That smile.
Got it.
Wow, this is it.
Yeah, I've got it here. It says, let's be crystal. Many things Salford may be famous for, but backing out of a fight is not one of them. If it has anything to do with me, the Red Devils will be playing at the AJ Bell. Let's create a legacy, and let's create a legacy the city can be proud of, which is a massive sort of statement. And I suppose, like you said, sort of Parker, it's when a sort of businessman is trying to take over a sort of a club or a business, the good ones do it quietly. So for us not to hear from him, officially, until the deal is done, is probably a good sign. Would you say?
Yeah, I think it's a tough one, like I say, because it came from nowhere. There was no sort of build up to this. This just dropped at the Castleford game, didn't it?
Yeah.
And you think, where does this come from? Who starts these rumours? Why would you? Especially a company like Gerrard's, which I've heard, and like Paul said, you see the wagons going about and all that kind of stuff. But you wouldn't just go, I'll just make something up about a company I know very little about, trying to buy. There must be something behind it, and that's why now I don't particularly care if I don't hear anything for the next 6 months, as long as something is happening behind the scenes. I don't need to know that. We don't need to know that as people. The financial side of it, the business side, that's nothing to do with us. This is a personal transaction from a company, and it's going to cost, let's be honest, if he's going to buy the stadium, 16 to 20 million quid just to buy a stadium. Never mind put money in a rugby club. This is this guy's fortune and his family's fortune. It's up to him what he does with it. We don't need to know anything. We just need, it'd be nice to know that, something is going on behind the scenes and rest. Because let's be honest, we own nothing at the moment, so we're losing nothing and we could be gaining everything. So, it's a tough one not to get giddy about. But like I say, if I don't hear, it doesn't mean that it's all bad news, does it?
No. What do you think, Paul? Get it done quietly. Then get the fanfare.
That's the way to do it. Yeah, that's the way to do business, Rob. I'm not bothered about the finances of the club and all the finer details and the sort of telephone numbers out of these amounts of money you're talking about. But no, I just concentrate on the rugby league. I get lost in all that sort of stuff. I've never been a money man myself, really. Just keep it in the bank and let my missus deal with it. But no. So yeah, it's encouraging though. It is good. We need somebody like that, I think, don't we, to invest in the club. And just going back to what you said about the stadium, got nothing against. Well, I say I've got nothing against Sale, but I suppose I have. I'm not into rugby union, never have been. And the way they sort of swanned their way into the stadium was built for us, and they sort of tried to push us out of it, really, I think, and maybe a bit underhand as well. And I wouldn't lose sleep if they were booted out and we had Swinton in there. I mean, I'm no Swinton supporter, but I'd welcome Swinton with open arms over Sale Sharks. So, I mean, it gets me sometimes. Sale's not in Salford. Nothing to do with Sale's got absolutely nothing to do with Salford. Absolutely nothing to do. They're tenants, aren't they, in our stadium? So that stadium was built for Salford Rugby League Club and the community of Salford, and that's how it should stay. And if this business with Gerrard gets sorted and we get to have our great city, as a rugby league club that's got 100 odd years of tradition staying there in the city. I think that's a good thing for us. So yeah, that's my opinion on it.
It's like the Cold War. Salford and Sale. No, they both, express each other's, love for each other and gratitude. But behind the scenes, there's always a little bit of nibbling going on. And from obviously, I live in Sale, so I get to sort of hear on big news about stuff that's going on. And for me, it's Sale. It's AJ Bell or bust for them, because they tried to build a stadium near TGI Fridays and got sort of turned down. And they need the AJ Bell. So if Sebastian Gerrard is thinks about that, he could say, right, you can still play the AJ Bell, but you're paying double rent.
Mm-hmm.
There's nowhere for Sale to go. So I think it will be very interesting to see sort of what happens in the next sort of few months if Salford can get Sebastian Gerrard involved, and then how it affects Salford City as well, Parky, because obviously they're talking about moving to the AJ Bell, and if they'll continue on that route. So it's all a bit of a rumor and half truths and sort of news. I clicked on a link today saying big news, and I thought, oh yeah, it's more news, but it was just rehashed. So it's a bit like we're all sitting and waiting, but like you said, I'd rather it all got die down, we all go a bit quiet, and the deal gets done.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if Sale were asked to leave. Very surprised. I think their rent alone, if you're a businessman and there's guaranteed rent coming in all the way through the winter when your rugby league teams aren't playing, it's either them or Salford City. And for me, you've got to look at Sale are in there at the moment. Sale are already paying the bills. I think they'd have to be favourites to stay there. But like you say, and I did mention on Twitter the other day that you put the rent up, you have to, because that's what they're going to do to us if they buy the stadium. Oh, yeah. They've already said that. We know that's a fact. So, the stadium could be paying for itself in many ways to the Gerrards or whoever owns it. And then anything on top is a massive bonus. So, yeah, I can't see Sale moving out. And like you say, what are their options? They haven't got any, have they? So I think the only one maybe would be, could they move to Man City's little, thing? But it's not big enough, is it? So it's interesting. The next few, like I said, the next couple of years are going to be very interesting times. And if come 2024, we're still at the AJ Bell Stadium, I think that will mean we're in a very, very, very good position.
So we're all going to sit tight and see what happens in the next few weeks and months. Other news: Salford Red Devils Foundation been organising rugby festivals in Radcliffe and in Sale. Paul, it's great. Obviously, they're out and about in the community trying to sort of build links and find new fans and players.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, and he's getting to that sort of time of the year soon. It'll be school holidays and things like that, and kids will be doing these rugby league festivals. And I just hope we get some more of those games at Salford, like we did against Castleford. Where we get the community in again, and the school, because I thought it was wonderful again to see that, and they're all signing their autographs and things like that. So yeah, anything in the community is great, and I think we have become. We say it all the time, that we have become a real sort of hub of the community over the last few years, and long may that continue.
Yeah, it's fantastic in it, Paul. And talking about sort of community, the Wigan home game has now been sort of announced as Armed Forces Day. People who serve in the army and the other armed forces can get a discount tickets, which is great. And also, if you're part of a youth groups, you can always get tickets as well. So I think it's great the club have got these sort of ideas to try and entice fans in.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, actually, I know I wasn't on for the last couple of weeks, but I just wanted to just say how magnificently the club did for the Castleford game, for them kids. The players were an absolute credit to themselves, staying out there, signing autographs for, easy half an hour after the game, maybe longer. And after 80 minutes of that, you want to go and sit down, have a shower, chill out, get some food. And there was no, not one player tried to shy away or back out of it. It was magnificent. Everything the club did that night was I've never seen Salford like this. Never. You know, the cards they gave out with the team picture on the front and the ladies on the back, and it just. My nephew came back with one, and I looked and I thought, wow.
Yeah.
I'd have loved that as a kid. That would have made my night. I mean, and then he's at the front, he's getting autographs, and you know, that's just unbelievable. We haven't had a chance to do that since we left the Willows. This kind of interaction as much, and we did it the Saints game last year, the last game of the season. Leeds, Cass, we've had these fans in. We're going to do a different thing now for this club at the moment is you can't speak highly enough of it. It's brilliant everything they do, and that's why I'm saying about somebody coming in at the top level to give the money, you know, to the first team, because the effort that's going in behind the scenes, you know, for everything else will fall into place. But it was brilliant the night for the Cass game. I was so proud to be a Salford fan that night, not just because of the rugby. I mean, the game itself was brilliant, wasn't it? But for everything that the club did and the people who worked behind the scenes at that, yeah, like I said, I've never seen Salford like this in my life.
Yeah, our mixed development, mixed ability rugby league team, which is kind of a mixture of our physical disability and learning disability players, will play Lee in Lee Festival on Friday, 3rd of June, 3 p.m. kickoff. It's at Lee Rugby Union ground, which is round Ash Park. Hand Lane, postcode is WN73NA. I think it's great, Paul. Obviously, you know, it's Lee Festival, and we've got a team there representing Salford Red Devils, and it's going to be a fantastic day.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned to you before about Jamie, one of the lads who plays in the team. My dad drives him about at work and that, and I think was it last week or the week before he come in? He got man of the match. Was it the Hull? We played in Hull at the festival in Hull. And he come running over to my dad. He said, "I scored an hat-trick, Andy, at the game." And my dad just come over and he was buzzing. He said, "You know, he's absolutely buzzing with it, and he's got a smile as big as anything. He never stops talking about rugby league and that." And I think it's great. I think it's absolutely great that, and you know, to have these festivals going on as well. It just gives them a great lease of life to go and get involved with that. And I think it's fantastic that the club are getting involved with it. And it's just another sort of string to the bow of the club, really. It just gets everybody involved and gets everybody pulling in the right direction. And just to echo about the kids as well, I mean, that game against Cass I thought was great. And our Imogen said to me the other day, she's that into it now. She told me that Alex Gerrard had signed a new contract. I didn't even know. And she knows all the players' names, and she's even started debating with me now who should be playing. She said to me the other day, "Oh, what's happening this Sunday? Who's going to get the fullback spot? I think Ryan Briley should be back in." It's like she's telling me her opinion, and she's only been watching the game 12 months. It's madness how people can get up to it, but it's a buzz, and I think the club has created that this season. I mean, we've not got to a cup final. We're not top of the table. We're not brilliant, but I think all the good things that are going on outside the first team as well is what's getting people talking about the club in a positive light. So it's all been great. This season's been really, really successful, I think, so far.
The club aren't the only organisation trying to organise a youth policy here, Paul. And obviously, when you're going to the field opposite and letting your grades, we'll bring her on and she can take us to the next level.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Putting me in the place anyway.
Yeah, you'll have to kind of get her to learn all the stats like you do, and you just pull them out of the sky. But when she gets that organised, you're in trouble.
Well, I know I had the game on tonight, the Cass game, just to refresh my mind, because I thought we might be talking about it. I thought, I can't remember that now. It's a couple of weeks ago. So she sat down with me and said, "Oh, such a body played well." They're just criticising what's going on. I'm thinking, you don't know anything yet. You've only watching it in 5 minutes. But even when we was on holiday last week, he was talking about the sport all the time, and I think that's great. I mean, it's just she's just one that it's touched, but there must be loads of kids, all those kids that were there the other week in the East Stand, they must be getting hooked to it, and you do as a kid, us three did, didn't we? You know, when we started going, and you just pick things up, and you'll get players who are your favourites and people who you enjoy, and look at the girls that are going now. Young girls like our Imogen and people like that, seeing the ladies playing as well. I mean, when you were a young girl 20, 30 years ago, you didn't have a ladies team, so you didn't really have a pathway for you to go and play. You could have played at school or whatever, but you couldn't go and play first team sort of rugby league on Salford's pitch. But now you can, so it's you can do anything, can't you? So it's no, it's magical. It really is at the moment. I'm enjoying this season. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah. Talk about the news that Imogen broke. Parker, Alex Gerrard signs 2-year extension. I think, it's a fantastic deal there. He played his way in for me at the beginning of the season. Obviously, he went off injured. He's had a few weeks off, but, very good player, makes his meters, makes his tackles. We have a term on the podcast where we call him, blockers that, do the work, make the tackles. And for me, he is a top class one of them.
Yeah, he's been really good, hasn't he, since he came in? He's took his chance. I know I was looking at the man of the match stuff, the devil in the details stuff the other week, and the amount of mentions that he's already got. And you think he comes off the bench most of the time. He just does his job, but that's what you need. You need players who do that. Not everybody's the glamour player. Not everybody's going to score hat tricks or do a Tim Lafayette or something like that. You need your workhorses. And he had some bulk because he's a big lad, and we've really lacked that. Him and I've been really impressed with Tyler Dupree in his couple of games. I think the kid's just worked his socks off for us, and he's a big unit. And you get a couple of them on your bench, it'll make us a different team again because we have struggled up front. But I'm delighted for Alex. He's like you say, he's worked his way. Again, another player that we've picked up sort of from Widnes, if you like. I know he wasn't, but like Greg Burke, Gil Dudson, people like that, Cross. These players are out there. You just got to go and look for them, and they want to work and they want to show that. Then they're not finished. They're not, at the end. These are good players, but not everybody gets that chance. And like you always say, Bob, opportunity club. We've given him a chance. He's proved us right. Paul Rowley and even Richard Marshall last year or whoever spotted his talent. And he's got his contract for the next 2 years, and it's great news.
I tell you, people playing podcast bingo tonight, they're going to be ticking boxes all over the show here. Paul, it's great. I think, great signing. Think Paul Rowley's pulled one out of the fire there for me.
Yeah, well, Barky just mentioned a couple of names there. Gil Dudson, Greg Burke, Alex Gerrard's another one, Deon Cross. These players, Chris Wellen was one a few years ago. Do you know what all these players have got in common? And I tell you, attitude. They've got a good attitude. They're not bad eggs. They're good blokes to have around the dressing rooms. And I think Alex Gerrard's one of those. He's come here with a hunger to do well. Yeah, he's been at Lee. He's been at Widnes. He's probably not had that opportunity before. I think Deon Cross is another one. He's never had that Super League chance. But I tell you what, he's took it. That Deon Cross, I think he's been a fantastic signing. And I mean, if you had a sort of an unsung hero award or what's the category really, like best newcomer or something, I think Deon Cross would be up for that because I think he's been a great signing. But Gerrard as well, he's coming. He's no nonsense. He's not one of those signs you all get on the edge of your seat for. Oh, he's a big international forward coming. He's a worker, but he's impressed me. He's got a really, really good attitude. Really nice fella as well. I think when I've seen him off the pitch and that's what we've got. I think we've got a team full of them at Salford. I don't think there's any sort of egos. You've got a team full of lads there who are willing to work and willing to put the work in, and that's what we've made our name on over the last few years, haven't we? A good attitude and a good work ethic, and I think if you've got that, you fit into Paul Rowley's system really well.
Yeah. Other news, Parker, 2 players from our development squad will be playing in the European Championships in Italy. Josh Wagstaff and Charlie, is it Glover? Both in that development squad, both now playing international rugby.
Yeah, I think isn't Josh, isn't he a Rooster?
I've got this. Yeah, I've got information. Josh Wagstaff, he's a back row centre, age 17. He plays for Salford Roosters. And Charlie Glover, he's a prop / loose forward, 17, and he plays for Halton Farm with Hornets. Glover will play for Wales, and Wagstaff will play for England.
I mean, he's brilliant. I mean, he's a local lad. That's what we want. I mean, for the pair of them, he's brilliant, and we've obviously spotted their talent and brought them in, which is what we've got to do. We have to work a lot harder than a lot of other clubs to do that, because it's easy if you're a Wigan or a Saints or a Leeds to pick up you know, the best of the young players. We have to work that a little bit harder, and not being a massive rugby league sort of producing area, really. It's brilliant to see, and you know, we've got to keep hold of these lads now, and that's what we were saying before about, you know, the reserves when they go on. You know, hopefully they'll be in the first. These kids now have got a great chance. You play, you know, international, you get a rep at any age. It's something to be very, very proud of, and shows that you must have some talent, because there's a lot of kids out there all trying to do the same thing. But it's brilliant to see, and I'm obviously delighted that one of them's come from the Roosters. I think it's a great nod to the amateur game in the area.
Yeah, might be playing for England, but he didn't go 2 years undefeated like you, Packy.
About 5 years, I think it was. Yeah, I was fortunate, really. I had, let's just say, I was a bit part player in a very good team.
He'd say that, wouldn't he? The only top players say that. I just did my bit. Like when Steph Gray said, "Oh yeah, I scored against, was it Featherstone Lions? Just picked the ball up and ran." You know, and I was like, "You ran 80 meters, a long way around." You know what I mean? But top players, you just underplay it all the time, don't they, Paul?
Yeah, it's just habit, innit? They just do it. You know, it's the job, innit? That's what they get paid for. That's what they always say. My dad always says that you don't get paid to drop the ball. Just do your job. And it's true, innit? Yeah, quality.
Yeah. Final bit of news. Club have announced that they've got a new app for Android phones and iPhones, created by Block Sport Parquet. You can get player info, you can get match info, you can have fan voting, you can chat to other fans. You know, it sounds all very good.
Yeah, I downloaded it yesterday.
Okay.
While I was in my sick bed. I thought this will be good. The only problem I've got, as most people who listen to this podcast will be aware, my eyes aren't brilliant.
No.
Fortunately, the text on my screen has to be quite huge, which gives me a problem because I can't scroll down the page on the app.
Right.
So I get the first bit, but I can't do anything else. So I'm going to have to work on how to sort that out somehow. Some technical genius will let me know. But yeah, no, it's on. I've had a quick look round. It looks okay. Looks pretty good. Again, you know, technology involved. You can go anywhere with that now. You know, that app can do anything. And eventually, I'm sure most things will be going on your phone and, you know, in life anyway. But yeah, no, it looks really good. And it gives you sort of a list of, you know, the amount of people that had already downloaded it. There was a lot of people straight away on it. So yeah, I look forward to what features they bring out. I've just got to get it sorted first.
Yeah, they've had apps before, Paul, and you know they've been hit and miss. But you know, hopefully, like you say, the experience of what was a success and what wasn't will drive this one on.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I'll probably get lost with it, Rob. I'm not really one for technology and stuff. I can just about do Twitter. I don't go on that much, to be honest. I never have time. So no, I'll do my best. I'll do my best to get it on. But like Parky said, I mean, my eyes aren't too bad, but it's just my my intellectual knowledge that lets me down a bit, really. The technology.
To the Hull Kingston Rovers game on Sunday. So Salford Devils travel to Hull Kingston Rovers Parquet off 2 victories in 2 games, and hopefully Paul Rowell looking for 3 from 3.
Yeah, looking forward to this. I think it'll be a cracker. I really do. I was looking at the fixtures for this weekend, and I think a lot of people will disagree, but I think this could be the most exciting game of the weekend. 2 teams that will throw the ball about, will entertain. Hull KR have got a few injury problems, you know, so you have to play a certain way. And Tony Smith isn't afraid of experimenting and trying something new. So I think it'll be a really, really good game. Both teams in need of the win to force up towards the playoffs. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, I'm not looking forward to the journey. I never do. And coming back more so due to past histories. But yeah, I think it'd be a fantastic game. I think our boys will be in full confidence. I hope, you know, a couple of them have recovered from injuries. I just think it'd be an exciting game. I think it'd be really open, and because, like I say, they've lost a couple of their best players. But I honestly can't pick it. You know, I think because I always think, oh, we can go okay, we can get a result there. But somehow there's just something about Craven Park that scares me a bit. But no, it'd be a good game as long as we can get, our best, or virtually our best 17 out there. We've got a cracking chance, and it should be a really good game.
What happened there, Paul? Were you getting advice from your spirit guide or something?
No, I've got a bet on tonight. I've got a bet on Scotland who just scored.
Have you?
I've got both teams to score, so just keep an eye on it.
Yeah, well, I like Parky was saying. It'll be a tough contest. Tony Smith is set to leave at the end of the season. Form's not good since the Challenge Cup semi-final. Injuries to key players as well. It's Kingston Rovers are in a bit of a sort of pickle at the moment. We're in good form. You're the betting man. Away win.
Yeah, we've got a 6-point start as well on the coupon, so the bookies sort of fancy okay. I'm not too sure. I mean, I was writing the preview this week, and it was difficult to write really because I don't know who's going to be in their squad because they've got that many injuries and that many people out. The form's not good, as you say. They've lost 4. I think they've lost 4 on the bounce. They were well beaten in the Challenge Cup semi-final. 2 of them league defeats they were nilled. They were nilled at 32-0 at Cass and 12-0 at Leeds. So they've not been playing very well at all. I think Abdul's been injured for him. Lachlan Coote's come back. There's 1 or 2 others. I think Matt Parcell's been out. So Tony Smith's been changing things around a bit. But I think a lot of it has stemmed from since his announcement that he's leaving at the end of the season. Their form sort of nosedived a bit since then. So, like Parky said, though, they like to play a similar sort of game to us, don't they? They like to entertain. If you look at the way we played against Cass, we like to throw the ball about, don't we, and play some exciting stuff. So I think there'll be points in it. I don't think it's going to be one of those sort of a 12-10 or something like that. I think there'll be plenty of points in this game. But the way we're playing at the moment, I don't think we've got anything to fear. Our defence has been really good, and that's what's won us the matches last few weeks. If you look back at the scores, we're like 14 points in at St Helens, 8 points against Leeds, I think it was. Was it 14, 16 against Cass? Was it 14 against Cass? I'm not too sure now. But it's been good. It's been really good defence. We've not conceded over sort of 18 points, 3 games running. So that's what's wins you these games. And if we can keep Ulkaya to sort of less than 16, we'll win that match because we'll score tries. We've got the tries in us. You look at our edges at the moment. You've got Laffey and Burgess on one side, Dion Cross, Kensio on the other. There's tries there. Those partnerships are working really, really well. So I wouldn't have any fears going to Craven Park.
Yeah, obviously, top 6 finish is the aim at Parky. Games like this really are a marker. If we can go to Hull KR and win, shows our credentials for that playoff push.
Yeah, I think, and we possibly, I know it's not a good way of going about it, and I know coaches don't admit to this, but we do owe them one for that performance, that first half performance at the AJ Bell when we went 18-0 down. We nearly came back and upset the game, but we were terrible in that first half, and we didn't show our best. But this is a different team, like Paul said there. He's gone about the last 3 games. You throw the Wigan game in on top of that. The last 4 games have been tremendous. We've really put the effort in. We haven't always got the result we deserve. But for me, I think looking at it, like Paul said there, our defence has been unbelievable. We've given teams the ball on our line, and they just can't seem to break us down. Earlier in the season, we complained quite a bit. I know me and Paul agreed on it that we tried some kicks, little grubbers in behind us, and nobody was clearing the ball up. And all of a sudden, that seems to stop. Now, I don't know what they've worked on or whatever. As soon as we cut that out, teams are finding it hard to score against us. And like I said, if we get a couple of players back, I don't know what the situation is with injuries. And I know players were playing through the pain barrier over the last couple of weeks. Harvey Levette, Tim Lafay, Ryan Braley in the Leeds game couldn't make the Cass game because of injury, but he played in that game when he probably shouldn't. Hopefully they're a bit more fixed up. And you look at that team, if we play anything like we did against Cass, certainly in that second half, I think we'll have too much for OKR.
Predictions, Paul, have you got your League Express with you, or is it in your van?
He's in the van, actually, but I've screenshotted what I put. I like to keep track of it on my phone.
Before we start with that, then, give us a weather prediction first.
It's going to be all right, I think, at weekend, isn't it? For this Jubilee business and whatever. Yeah, I think it's going to be okay.
Fairly warm.
Yeah, warm and quite pleasant there, so it should be a nice drive up there. Yeah, I've gone Hull Kingston Rovers 20, Salford 30.
2030. Story behind that?
Yeah, I think Joe Burgess is going to score again. I've backed him as me star try on our prediction league that me and Parky are in. That Parky's doing very well at. I think he's gone top of the table. He's gone above my dad. My dad's been leading it all year, but he's gone above him, so he's doing pretty well.
5 years undefeated as a child on the rugby pitch, and now top of the prediction league. Parky, it's all go for you.
Yeah. No, I've had a good season on the predictions on that one, but mainly because for most of the time I've backed against Salford. No, that's harsh. I didn't last week, and I got it. So, well, the Cast game and I did the Leeds game. I think it went for us, and I'll go for us again this week. I've not thought about it so much, but I'll say I think there will be points. I really do. I'm going to say Hull KR 20. Salford 32.
32?
Yeah, which is very unusual for me. I'm very cautious, but I just fancy us a little bit at the moment. I think there's a lot of confidence in that team, a lot of belief, and okay are the opposite. So, yeah, should be a good one.
I like Christian Inu all over again. Paul, get him to miss.
I know we're quite close there, though, aren't we? We just need you to do one the other way, and then we've got a chance of this magical Nando's. I mean, by the time we get this Nando's are probably going out of business. We've been trying that long now, but no, I'm with Parky. I think there'll be points in this game. I'm confident though. I don't think we've got anything to fear. I think the way we're playing at the moment, I think we're playing with confidence, and confidence is a big thing, isn't it? We're on a bit of a roll at the moment, and you look at the table, we're only 2 points off the playoffs, so that picture could all change this weekend. And we look at the fixtures this weekend, Huddersfield and Wigan are both in the cup. Will they have a bit of an hangover from that? St Helens are playing away in France against Toulouse, so there could be some changes again in the table this week.
So my prediction is Salford will win. It will finish Hull Kingston Rovers 10, Salford Red Devils 36.
Oof.
And I'm going for Lafay hat-trick. So there we go. Okay. Put that in your betting account. Paul, don't forget to bet responsibly while you're doing it.
So Tim Lafay is not going to pass this week when he goes through. He's not going to give Burgess the ball. He's going to go on his own. He's going to be greedy and go on his own.
Yeah, that's basically the plan. So that's the end of this week's podcast. Another great show, Parky.
Yeah, I'm going to go off again now. Get back to bed, dose myself up, get ready for Sunday. Try and make sure I'm match fit. We'll
send send Dawn Schofield round on Saturday morning to see if you can pass her fitness test.
Good chance, have I?
Another great show, Paul. Great talking all things Salford Red Devils.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the chat with Chris as well. Wish the ladies all the best, and he's doing a great job there. So yeah, enjoyed the show and looking forward to a trip up the M62 on Sunday, mate. Can't wait.
Yeah, big thanks to tuning to this week's Devil in the Detail podcast. I'm Rob Parkinson. You can find us on Facebook, Devil in the Detail SRD. You can find us on Twitter at DITDSRD. And you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Radio Contact, Spotify, and YouTube. See you soon.